Coming along, we have webinars upcoming weekend as well. We hold webinars both on Saturdays and Sundays for your success, and that is the reason we are holding a GMAT strategy webinar the next Saturday, that is September 4th. Now, in this webinar, we are going to talk about what are the 3 most important things that you need to keep in mind, that you need to inculcate within your habits to score a 760 or higher on the GMAT. And then the next day, that is on Sunday, we have a free webinar on GMAT algebra. In this webinar, we are going to talk about challenging questions on inequalities and absolute values. Now, remember, inequalities and absolute values are areas where students falter a lot. So if you're someone who's not being able to get to that target scores for inequalities absolute questions, just attend the webinar. Through this webinar, we help you understand what are the different methods to solve questions based out of these topics. To register for both these webinars, you can simply click on the register now button over here, and then that will make sure that you're registered for the session. Then we have another very interesting session that's coming up on Friday, that is September 3rd, on 9 at 9 p.m. IST. In this session, it would be hosted on e-GMAT's YouTube channel. Now, in this session, we have Prashant, and Prashant is the founder of Admit Square, and then we have the Assistant Dean of MIT Sloan Donna, and they are going to talk about how do you craft your MBA application with high work experience. Now, if you want to attend this session, because understand that your application stages would be coming on in a few days' time, so if you want to understand on what does the admission committee look for in your application, please make sure you click on the Get Your Session Pass link over here. That will register you for the session over there, right? All right, so with that, let me hide this panel out. And now I have a couple of questions, very quick questions to all of you. The first question is, when do you plan to take the GMAT? And this would help me understand the kind of students I have for today's session, so that I can curate my session in accordance to that. So let's take another 5 seconds. And then please let's fill out this poll over here. With that, I have another 2 questions. The first question is, what is your current quant score? Please let me know of that. And then let me share another webinar for another poll for all of you. Just a moment, please. Okay. After that, I also want you people to tell me what is your target quant score. So let's get to these 2 responses very, very quickly, and then let's start understanding how do you go about the session. Okay, very interesting statistics. Okay, so I'm going to end the first poll on when do you plan to take the GMAT. Now I see that around 15% of you are taking the GMAT in another 30 days. I guess you have your round 1 application deadlines. Majority of people are taking post 30 days. So okay, that gives me a very fair idea, and that also gives me tells me that if you attend the session that we have for today, and if you absorb the learnings that we have brought for you in today's session, GMAT number properties and entire quant of GMAT would become very, very easy for you. About your current quant score, I can see a lot of people, almost around 80% of you tell me that your scores are either 48 or lesser than 48. So okay, so we'll have a lot of learning from today's session. I'm however very, very happy to see that a lot of you, almost 70, rather 85% of you tell me that you want to score a Q49 or a 50 or a 51, and that is the first step. You have to have big aims. If you do not have that, going to those target scores become very, very difficult, right? So again, thank you for all of your answers. With that, we'll now move ahead to the session that we have brought for all of you, right? Just give me a moment over here. The PPT shall load in about 5 to 10 seconds for anyone at whose end the PPT is not yet loading. Just give it that time, and let me get the yes no pod as well. Okay, just mark a very quick yes if you all can see the PPT, right? And again, if the PPT has not loaded at your end, just give it around 5 to 10 seconds. That should not take you more than that. Right? Okay. A couple of other things that we have over here. We have a short answer poll that you can see to the right of your screen. Now, this answer poll would be used whenever I ask a question related to something that we might have in the session. We also have a Q&A pod that you can see at the bottom of your screen. Now, at any point in time, if you have any question around the session or anything around strategy, just point that out in the Q&A pod. Harsha, who's supporting me for today's session, will take care of that question, right? So I am going to clear all the answers over here. And now let's begin the session. Okay, I can see that the PPT has loaded at all of your end. That is really very, very good. All right, so as I told you, I'm Atre. I'll be your primary host. Harsha is supporting me. In this session, we are going to learn a unified approach to solve every question that I brought for you in this session. Now, it might get a bit tricky at times because I would be, making you think at a few questions. I would be teaching you some new concepts. I'll be, not new concepts, I would say, I would just brushing up on some concepts that we previously learned, and then with that unified approach, we'll be making sure that we answer all questions that we have for today's session. We technically have the session for around 2 hours, and then we have a 20-minute or 15-minute discussion period where at any point in time, if any questions or doubts, I'll just note that down and we will talk about that towards the end of the session. The purpose of the session is very, very clear. You need to understand that so we are here to help you understand that there are two key aspects that you need to inculcate to acing GMAT Quant. The first is you need to have a very strong understanding of basics, and the second is you need to have a structured approach to solving questions. Now, many a times we see that students do not follow a structured approach. They follow approaches which they are not very confident in, and which might only work in a few questions, but not all. So in today's session, we are going to tackle that, right? So how would we progress in the session? And let me very quickly take my pen as well. Okay, I'll take, let me take, okay, red is fine. Let me hide out the palette. Okay, so we'll solve 3 very good questions on data sufficiency in number properties. These questions are of the 700 plus level of difficulty. We are not going to discuss the solution for any of these questions. What I want is to check, without me teaching you anything in this webinar, what's your accuracy for these 3 questions. Once you answer these 3 questions, we'll move on to warm up. We have 5 questions that are typically around the 650 or lesser than 650 level. Again, through these questions, I'll help you understand the different facets of how to solve a number properties GMAT question when it comes to divisibility and remainders. Then we have 3 problem solving questions of the level 650 to 700, 4 problem solving questions of the level 700 plus, and lastly, the first 3 questions that we solved, we'll solve them again to check that the learnings that we had from these 12 questions, what effect did this learning have on our overall performance in the first 3 questions that would essentially solve. So the more accurate you become towards the end of the session, that is a win-win for me, right? I hope the progression is clear to all of you, and also know how are we going to solve questions in this session. I'll give you the first question in the session. Now, before I move on to the first question, there's one more thing that I want you to keep in mind. I'm not going to time you in this session. You guys would be timing yourself, right? So what I'll do is I'll share a poll, and you can see the poll right now. And what I want all of you to do is mark still solving. The moment I see that 80% of you who have marked still solving chooses a different answer choice than that, that's when I call time. So I don't time yourself. Your average time is something that I'll be moving forward with, right? So almost 80 students in the session. I only see 22 people marking a still solving. Let's get this number to 40, please. I need another 15 people to mark a still solving. Let's get this number very, very quickly. And again, this would go on for all questions. And the faster you click on still solving, the faster you get the question. So guys, please make sure you do this ASAP. Okay, that is good. I have my number. So what I'll do now is I'll give you the first question. All the best for this one. All right, 10 more seconds for this question. If you have not marked the answer, please do so. Five, four, three, two, and one. Okay, let me end the poll. I'll not broadcast the results or I'll discuss the results right now, right? We'll do this towards the end of the session when we are done with all the 12 questions that I've brought for you. For now, I'll give you the next question, which is question number 9. I hope you can see the poll as we have discussed. Please mark us still solving. And let's do this activity very, very quickly. The faster you do this, the faster you get the question, right? All right, that is perfect. I'm going to close broadcasting results and give you the next question. All the best for this one, guys. All right, last 5 seconds to mark your answer. If you have not marked it, please do so. 3, 2, 1, and 0. I'm going to end the poll. Thank you for all of your answers. And I am going to bring you the poll for question number 10. Here you go. Please mark as self-solving. I'll close broadcasting results. All right, let's go to question number 10. All the best for this one. All right, last 5 seconds for this question. If you have not marked your answer, please do so. Two, 1, and 0. I'm going to end the poll. Okay, so I have the 3 answers. Now, I'm going to open the short answer poll. People tell me, how were these 3 questions? Were they easy, medium, difficult, time taking? What was your experience tackling these 3 questions? You can answer in the short answer poll that I have over here. Last one was lengthy, rest were easy. Okay. Couldn't figure out how to even begin approaching them. Okay. So a lot of you people tell me that these are difficult questions. Some of you also tell me that these are easy questions or medium questions. Okay. Someone tells me difficult because I don't like quants. Okay. But yes, by the end of the session, I'm very, very sure that you would be able to solve all these questions. All of you would be able to solve these questions within I would say 90 to 120 seconds, not more than that at all, right? So thank you for all of your answers. This is really great and gives me a lot of context. I would clear all the answers and end the poll over here. Now, before I move ahead with difficult questions, I have brought 5 warm-up questions for all of you. Now, we'll be starting off with the warm-up section. In this section, we do not have that difficult questions. These are warm-up questions as you go by the name. And around that 600 level questions, these are, I would say, Aman asked me what's the answer for question 8. I'm not going to answer that right now. We'll discuss all these answers at the end of the session, right? So we're now focusing on the learning part. I request all of you to focus on this itself, right? Okay, so we'll begin with the first warm-up question. You know the rules. I'll reopen the poll. Please mark as still solving. I have 5 questions, and we'll give you a very good feedback on your conceptual clarity through these 5 questions. You're also going to learn a lot of things. Right, very, very quickly, guys. Let's do this very quickly, please. All right, let me give you the first warm-up question. All the best for this. All right, last 5 seconds. Please mark your answer if you have not marked it yet. 3, 2, 1, and 0. I'm going to end the poll and broadcast the results. Now, 72% of you tell me that the answer for this question is choice B. 20% of you tell me it is choice A. So what do we have over here? I have Z is a 3-digit number whose digits are consecutive numbers in increasing order. We need to understand the relationship between Z and divisibility of 3. Now, very, very quickly in the short answer poll, guys, what is the rule of divisibility of 3, please? How do we say, when do we say that a number is divisible by 3? In the short answer poll, really quickly, please. When the sum of the digits so when the sum of the digits is divisible by 3, that's when we call the number to be divisible by 3, right? Okay, now Z is a 3-digit number whose digits are consecutive number in increasing order. Now what do we do? Essentially, I'll take the first letter of Z to be equal to X. Now, if the first letter of Z is equal to X, the next letter would be X plus 1, then the third would be X plus 2. If I add all these 3 letters up, what do I get? I get 3x plus 3. If I take the 3 common, I get 3 times x plus 1. So 3 times x plus 1 tells me that this is divisible by 3. 3 times x plus 1 is divisible by 3. Now, if this is divisible by 3, then obviously z is divisible by 3. That means choice B is the correct answer choice for this question. So thank you for all of your answers in the short answer poll. Now I want to ask those 12 people who had marked choice B for this question, where did you go wrong? Where did you falter? Could we solve by odd consecutive integer sum? Okay, very interesting question. I'll just check who this is. Tarun, can you give me an example, please? And others who could not solve this question, I essentially wanted to understand, where did you get confused? Where did you falter? Mistakenly chose. Okay, that's fair for me. I don't have a problem. You took the number 369, but why would I take the number 369? The three digits should be consecutive, right? It cannot have a gap between two letters. They have to be consecutive they have to be consecutive digits. 345, yeah, 345 is a divisible number. That would give you the answer. I don't think that would cause any problem. Again, at any point in time, if you take three numbers which are consecutive, they would give you a sum that has to be divisible by 3. So if you're employing some other method, please do not do so. This is the best method that you can think of, right? Okay, so let me end the poll, clear all the answers. I'll move on to the next question. For that, I need to clear all the answers from here. Reopen the poll, and can you please mark us still solving? All right, let me give you question number 2. All the best for this one. All right, 5 more seconds. If you have not marked the answer, please do so. 3, 2, and 1. Let me end the poll. And before I broadcast the results, let me pull down this poll and bring in the yes no poll. I have a question for all of you. How many of you used x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3 to solve this question? Mark a yes. How many of you used x plus 1, x plus 2, and x plus 3 to solve this question? Very interesting. 30% of the class, almost 1/3 of the class, used that. Now, thank you for all of your answers. I'm going to end the poll and get my yes no poll over here. So I'm going to reopen this poll. Now I want you people to tell me, in case here in this question, as we have been working on divisibility of 4. Now, what is the rule of divisibility of 4? Can you please help me out with that? The last 2 digits should be divisible by 4, right? Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Now, if I take x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3, again, I'll bring in the yes no poll. You people tell me, do I explicitly know the value of x plus 2 and x plus 3, which are the last 2 digits? Do I explicitly know the values of x plus 2 and x plus 3, which are the last 2 digits? I do not, right? X can be any number, and for that reason, x plus 2 and x plus 3 can be any number. So that is the reason I cannot take the same approach as I used in the last question to solve out this question. So in this question, I just need to understand, I'm sorry, what are the different ways to solve, what are the different numbers that I can expect? Now, z is a 4-digit number. The digits are consecutive numbers. So there can be, again, since z is a number, it can either be an odd number or an even number. In case z is an odd number, definitely the number is not divisible by 4. In case z is an even number, there can be two cases. The last two digits can either be divisible by 4 or not be divisible by 4, as I have shown in this question. Now, the problem over here is the problem with taking x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3 is you won't be able to understand all of these cases, right? So that is the reason we do not take the variable approach over here. We understand what are the different numbers that can be formed. And with that information, we just chart out a few examples to see whether z can or cannot be divisible by 4 or not. So since there are some cases in which z is divisible by 4 and also some other cases where z is not divisible by 4, I would say that z may be divisible by 4, right? So the answer for this question is choice A. Now, I'll broadcast the results, and 44% if you told me that the answer for this question is choice C, another 8%, so that adds up to 52% of you telling me it's either B or C. I hope that is clear to all of you, right? The question says consecutive numbers, not necessarily in an ascending or descending. A very good question. Again, we can consider 5, 4, 3, 2 as well, because the numbers are consecutive numbers. I have no problems with that, right? I have no problems with that. Right? With that, I hope the solution for this question is clear to all of you. And we'll now move on to question number 3. Now, anyone, isn't there any structured approach? What if we were not be, again, if for this question, we cannot have variables over here, because again, I don't know the values of the variables, right? So if an approach doesn't work, please make sure you do not use that rather than, focusing on something else. Yes. Right? Maybe you can think of a new approach, but yes, for this question, this is the most effective approach that you can think of, right? Okay, I'll move on to question number 3. Very quickly, please mark still solving. I've given out the poll over here. Let's get 40 people to mark still solving, guys. Very, very quickly, please. Okay, I have my people over here. This is the third question. All the best for this. All right, last 3 seconds to mark your answer. If you have not marked it, please do so. 3 more seconds, please. 3, 2, 1, and 0. I'm going to end the poll and broadcast the results. Now, 74% of you tell me that the answer for this question is choice C, and that is absolutely correct. Another 17% of you tell me it's either choice A or B over here. Now, I have a very big number, and I need to check which number, which is closest to this number, the big number that I have over here, is a multiple of 8. Now, I know that the concept over here, any number that is a multiple of 8, needs to have the last 3 digits, which is divisible by 8. So this number that I have that ends with 897, what I do is I calculate the remainder for this number when I divide it by 8, because that will give me the other two numbers around that number, right? Now, when I divide 897 by 8, I get the remainder as equal to 1. So essentially, the other two numbers which are closer to these two, this number over here, can be gotten when I subtract 1 or when I add 7, right? Since I'm getting a remainder of 1, if I subtract that, I'll get a multiple of 8. If I add the residual part, I'll get a multiple of 8 over here, right? So essentially, what do I need to find out? The number that's closest. Obviously, I'm not adding 7 because this gives me a delta of 7 points. This gives me a delta of 1 point. So this definitely has to be closest. I simply do that and I have the number that ends with 897. That is the answer for this question. Again, to those 17 people who could, 17 people or 12 people who could not get this answer correct, I hope it's clear to all of you. At any point in time, if you have any questions, do let us know. We'll be very happy to help clear that out for you. Right. With that, I'll move on to question number 4. It remains same. Please click on still solving. The next two questions that I have for you are slightly challenging. So let's see what are your accuracy levels for these two questions. This is question number 4 to you. All the best for this one, guys. All right, last 5 seconds to answer this question. If you have not put your answers, please do so. That is good. Let me end the poll and broadcast the results. 73% of you tell me that the answer for this question is choice D. Now, for this question, I have something for you, and I'm going to help you understand a concept that you had previously learned when you were, I would say, in standards 8, 9, 10, in those standards. Even in the course, you have gone through the course. So yes, the concept that we are going to talk about here is dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder. Please pay a lot of attention to the processes that I'll be sharing over here, because this, would make the better you learn this concept and the application of the concept, this would help you solve the questions that I brought in the next set that I have over here, right? So I know that dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder, right? And I'm also going to open the short answer poll at any point in time. If you have a question, please feel very free to put that out over here. So in the question, it's given that n leaves a remainder of 3 when divided by 204. So n, which is the dividend over here, can be written as the divisor, that's 204, times q. I've assumed the quotient to be equal to q over here, plus 3, where 3 is the remainder. Now, it's asking me what would be the remainder when n is divided by 4. So n can also be written in terms of 4 times p, where p is the quotient over here, plus r. Now, there's one condition with remainders. The remainder of any question has to be less than the divisor, right? It has to be a non-negative number, plus it has to be less than the divisor. So n can be written as 4p plus r over here, n can be written as 204q plus 3. What I do is I'd visualize, I'll use the process skill of visualization over here to compare the right hand sides of both these equations. The reason for that is in the left hand side I have n, right? So both the right hand sides are comparable to each other. Now how do I compare? I'll try to write 204q plus 3 in terms of 4p plus r. The moment I get the value of r, that is the final answer for this question, right? Because I'm trying to find out the remainder. So I'll write 204q plus 3 in terms of 4p plus r. The first and foremost thing that you have to check out in this question, in this process, is how do you go about, visualizing these two numbers and then writing 204q plus 3 in terms of 4p plus r. Whatever divisor you have over here, take that divisor, and then the number of elements you have over here, understand which are the elements which can be which would be divisible by this divisor I have over here. So I have a divisor of 4. I'll come to the left hand side. I'll come to the right hand side of this equation. I see 204q. Now 204q is definitely a number that is greater than 4. So I can say that, all right. So I can make 204q into parts and write it in terms of 4p. I can break 204q, write it in terms of 4p. But 3 is smaller than 4, so I cannot break 3 and write in terms of 4p, right? So what I do is I first break 204q. I have to write it in terms of 4p. So I divide 204q by 4. When I divide 204q by 4, I can write it as 4 times 51q. So if I consider the value of p to be equal to 51q, 204q can be written as 4 times p, where p is equal to 51q. And lastly, n, which is 204q plus 3, can be written as 4 times p plus r. Now, is the value of r less than 4, which was the initial constraint that I had? The value of r should always be less than the divisor. Yes, it is. So this goes as the final answer. I directly marked choice D from this step, right? I'll explain the process once very quickly. The first thing is you write both the two expressions in terms of dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder. Whatever you have in the first expression, you turn that in the form of the second expression that we have over here. How do you do that? You just break the parts that we have in the first expression with the parts that I have in the second expression with the help of the divisor. Right, so what you do is you have 204q, you understand this is a number greater than 4, so it would be divisible. You have 3, that's a number less than 4, so it cannot be broken down. So you take the numbers which can be broken down, break them into pieces, and then move on to the final answer. I hope the solution is clear to all of you. Now I have a question in the short answer poll. Is that right approach to break n is equal to 200k plus 4k plus 3, 200k becomes part 1, and that is divisible. 4k plus, again, if 204q is divisible by 4, 200q would also be divisible by 4, 196 would also be divisible, 208 would also be divisible. We're not breaking these numbers into smaller chunks, we're just understanding which of these numbers can be broken and then breaking up those numbers, right? There might be a possibility that the number is not completely divisible, and we'll come to those questions as well. But this is a new concept that I want you people to learn. And I know that this is a difficult concept. The concept that you might have used for this question, to solve this question might be very easy. But again, I don't want you to take numbers as such. I don't want you to take 207, for example, as a number and check out, because those won't work for difficult questions. And that is the reason I'm teaching you this concept. 204 is divisible by 4, so remainder will always be 3, correct? Yes, that's absolutely correct. Right? I wrote the expression 204x plus 3, then I took x to be equal to 1. No, so we are not doing that. Please, let's not do that. This would help us solve these questions. These are easy questions, but they'll not help us solve difficult questions. In the GMAT, when you're taking the actual test, you are not going to get dividends out of solving easy questions. You have to solve difficult questions correctly. I hope this is clear to all of you. Again, A new process will take some time and another 1 or 2 questions to be inculcated. But please, from the next question, I want all of you to, use this method that we have to solve the questions that I brought over here, right? I'll move into question number 5. Before that, I'll clear all the answers. Can you please mark us still solving? That is perfect. Let's move on to question number 5. All the best for this one. Five more seconds to answer this question. If you have not answered, please do so. Let's take 5 more seconds to mark our answer. 3, 2, 1, and 0. So I'm going to end the poll and broadcast the results. 61% if you tell me that the answer for this question is choice A. 22% if you tell me it's choice D. Now, before I move on to the solution, in the short answer poll, what is the divisor for this question? What is the divisor through which I need to find out the remainder? What is the divisor through which I need to find out the remainder? Very, very quickly in the short answer poll, please. You people tell me it's 5. Okay. Can the remainder be greater than 5? In a yes or no, please. Can the remainder be greater than 5? In a yes or no, please. Okay, that tells me what? That tells me choice D can never be the answer, right? Choice D can never be the answer. I hope people who have marked choice D, it's clear to all of you, right? These are small things that you have to keep in mind. Again, please understand the remainder has to be lesser than the divisor in the question. I hope that's clear to you. With that, let's move out into the solution and see how do you solve this question. Now, I'm going to clear all the answers from the short answer poll. Again, thank you for all of your answers. N leaves a remainder of 6 when divided by 205. Now, we had learned that dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder concept. Can you people write N in terms of 6 and 205, please, in the short answer poll? Can you people please help me do this? How do I write N? When I have a remainder of 6 and when I divide N by 205. Perfect. I write N to be equal to 205Q plus 6. I'm also very happy because someone wrote it's equal to 5 times 41Q plus 6. So that's very, very interesting. Okay. So yes, 205Q plus 6. I have this. I also have to find out that what's the remainder when N is divided by 5. So I have N to be equal to 5P plus R. Now, what is the divisor? The divisor over here is 5. What I'll go is I'll go back to the right hand side of this expression. What are the two terms? The two terms are 205Q. Now, is 205 greater than 5? Yes, it is. So I can break it down. Is 6 greater than 5? Yes, it is. I can break it down. Right? So I'll do the same thing. So 205, I'll divide that by 5. What do I have? I have 205 to be equal to 5 times 41Q. This 41Q becomes my P over here. So I can write 205Q as 5P. I have the final remainder to be equal to 6. The problem over here is the remainder has to be less than 5 because it has to be less than the divisor. So can 6 be the answer? No, 6 cannot be the answer. So I then again divide 6. I break this into two parts. I break it into 5 into 1. That is again the divisor times quotient plus the remainder. Now the remainder is equal to 1. Is remainder lesser than 5? It is. Can that be the answer? Absolutely. You mark choice A for that. Sorry for the very long tick symbol over here, but yes, choice A is absolutely the correct answer choice for this question. I hope the solution to all of you is the solution for this question is clear to all of you. All right, so with that, again, I would, can we just not subtract the divisor from the remainder? What would happen if I had 11, let's say? You can do it twice. You have to do it twice, right? The better way to do this is again, just divide that number or break that number into divisor times quotient plus remainder, or simply divide that number with 5 to see what's the remainder. That's the most suitable answer, I would say. But yes, do not subtract. That is going to cause a problem, right? Okay, so these were the 5 questions that I have for all of you. Now, before I move on to the next set of questions, let me give you a poll on how many warm-up questions did you get correct? So just allow me a moment. And I have the poll for all of you. Can you please tell me how many of the 5 questions did you people get correct? Very interesting, because I see almost all of you tell me it's either 3 or 4 or 5. It's very less number for 1 and 2. No one for 0, so that's really, really good. Now I'm going to end the poll. Thank you for all of your responses. Let me broadcast the results. And 27% of you tell me that you got all the 5 questions correct, which is really, really good. For people who could not get the questions correct, I would say focus on the learning. It's very, very important that you focus on the learning. Remember, these are easy questions. The chances of getting these questions are fairly, you might get these questions in the first block, but not later to that. So the questions that you would be getting in your actual test would be much, much difficult if you're performing in the well in the test. And for that, you need to have a proper foundation, and with that, you need to have, you need to understand how to apply the concepts that you had learned over here with much more detail. The questions that you would be getting in GMAT would have much advanced level of the applications that we saw right here, right? So at any point in time, if you had any questions related to concepts, I would recommend all of you to go back to your free trial or your paid account, check out the concepts, understand what and how you solve questions, right? With that, we'll now move on to the problem solving questions. These are questions around that 600 to 650 level. So what I'll do is I'll bring in the first poll. Just give me a moment over here, please. Okay, I have the first poll for all of you. I'll open the poll. Can you please mark us still solving over here? That is perfect. So what I'll do is I'll give you the first question. All the best for this one, guys. All right, last 10 seconds to mark the answer for this question, please. So let's take 10 more seconds, mark the answer. Okay, I'm going to end the poll and broadcast the results. Now, 48% of you tell me that the answer to this question is choice C. Okay. Let me get in the yes no poll. Now, I have a question for all of you. How many of you did the math over here? By the math, I mean, how many of you calculated the value of m to be equal to 30 times 8.2 and then solve out the question? Let's see the numbers. And please be very honest to yourself. How many of you did the math over here? Okay, so 15%, 18%. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. 18% of you tell me that you did not. By that I mean that you had, that tells me that you had used the concept that we had learned in the last two questions. 82% of you tell me that you essentially did calculate the value of m. Okay, now for this question it's fair. You can calculate the value of m, but what if the numbers are not that good looking in nature? I would rather recommend all of you to use that unified approach that we are talking about. Trust me, when you solve questions using one approach, chances of making errors go down substantially, right? So that's something that I would recommend all of you. But yes, we'll check. We'll check with the next few questions as well on what methods are you people using. So I'm gonna pull up your answer poll over here. Just a moment, please. All right. Now let's move ahead with the solution for this question. Okay. Is there an audio disturbance? Just give me a moment, please. All right, it should be, I hope it's now clear to all of you. Can you please confirm if you can hear me clearly? And let me get in the poll. All right. Just a moment, please. Okay, can you now hear me clearly, guys? Can you please mark a yes if you can? Can you now hear me clearly? Can you? Okay, the audio is not yet clear. Let me try switching my networks. Just give me another 10 odd seconds, please. Can you check now? Is it now clear? Can you please mark a yes or a no? If it's now clear, it should be clear by now. Shouldn't be a problem right now. Okay, that is good. That is good. Thank you. So I'm going to hide out the poll over here. Let me see all the answers. And hide out this poll. Thank you for all of your responses. Now let's come back to this question. And very sorry for this. Again, if the audio is breaking up at your end, you might have to rejoin once because it's completely fair at our end. Right, so I'm going to clear all the questions and now move on to the solution for this question. Let me hide out the palette. Now for this question, as I was discussing with all of you, It's very okay. It's completely okay to calculate the value of m to be equal to 30 times 8.2 and then solve out the question. No problems at all. But what if the numbers are difficult? What if calculation takes time? In those cases, I'd rather want you to use the method. Again, I would rather want you to use the method that we've learned for every question, whether the numbers are easy or difficult, because that way you become stronger in that method, the application of that method, right? So please make sure you do that. Now, coming back to this question, m is a positive integer, m by 30 is equal to 8.2. So what can I write? I need to find out the remainder when m is divided by 15. So I can write m to be equal to 15p plus r. Again, understand, because m is divided by 15, so the divisor over here is 15, the remainder over here is r. The value of r has to be less than 15. Now m can be written as 30 times 8.2. Now 8.2 is a fractional number, so what I'll do is I break this number into two parts. One is the integral part 8, the other is the fractional part 0.2. So I have two numbers right now, 30 times 8 and 30 times 0.2. Now 30 times 8, please understand this number. I need to convert this entire expression in terms of 15, right? I need to break it in terms of 15. 30 times 8, since I have a 30, this can be easily broken into 15. 30 times 0.2 is equal to 6, a number that's not greater than 15, so I cannot break it further. So my target should be breaking 30 times 8 in the form of 15. Now, how do I get a 15 from 30? Just think it through. 30 is very simply written as 15 times 2, right? Now, if I divide 30 by 2, if I take out a 2 from 30, I get 15 times 2 times 8. I'll consider this part over here, 2 times 8, to be equal to p, right? Now, if I consider this to be p, I can write 30 times 8 to be 15 times p. I don't have to get into the value of p, but I can write it as 15 times p. 30 times 0.2 gives me a value of 6. Again, since 6 is a number that is lesser than 15, I don't have to break it down. So I have this entire expression in the form of 15p plus r. What I need to check is whether r is less than 15 or not. Now the value of r is 6, which is definitely less than 15. So yes, the answer for this question is choice C. I hope the solution is clear to all of you. Again, at any point in time, if you have a question, do let us know, right? With that, we'll move on to the second question. With the learning of this question, we'll move on to the second question. This time, let me see how many of you perform the calculations and how many of you use the method that we have learned over here. Okay, I have the poll. Can you please mark as still solving? Let's get the still solving very quickly, guys. I need 40 people. I only have 30 right now, so I need 10 more volunteers to do this. 49, 39, 40. Okay, perfect. Here is question number 2 for all of you. All the best for this one. All right, last 5 seconds. Last 5 seconds to mark the answer for this question. 3, 2, 1, and 0. Okay, for this question again, I'm going to ask you the same thing again. How many of you did the math? That is, calculated the value of 15 times 8.2. How many of you calculated the value of 15 times 8.2 and then solved out the question? Drastic change in numbers. That's really great to see. Okay, that is good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide out the poll. Thank you for all of your answers, guys. I'm going to hide out the poll, and now let's come over here. Now, if m is a positive integer, and m by 15 is equal to 8.2, I need to find out the value of, I need to find out what is the remainder when m is divided by 30. Now, I have m by 15 is equal to 8.2. I need to find out when m is divided by 30. Can you write me this equation in the short answer poll, please? Can you write me this equation in the short answer poll?
Hey folks, just give me 1 sec. This is Harsha. While Atreya connects back, can you guys hear me? Just let's take the same poll. While Atreya tries to recollect, if you guys can hear me fine, put a yes. Perfect. So you guys can hear me fine. So while Atreya figures out his audio, let's. Okay, Atreya's back. That's good. So Atreya, on to you.
I've not asked a question, guys, please. I've not asked a question. You can change your answers. Can you now hear me clearly? Thank you. There might be certain internet issues. I'm very, very sorry for this. I'm very, very sorry for this. Okay, I'm going to hide out the poll over here. Thank you for staying back over here. I'm going to take my pen. Now, m is a positive integer, and your people already answered that when m is divided by 30, the remainder is r, then I can write m to be equal to 30 times, so I can write m to be equal to 30p plus r, where r is less than 30, right? This is what I have over here. Now, I also know that m by 15 is equal to 8.2. So again, just like the last question, I'm going to, divide it in two parts. One is the integral part. The second is the decimal part over here, right? Now, 15 times 8, 15 times 0.2. What is the value of 15 times 0.2? It's equal to 3. I need to break the numbers with respect to 30. Can I break 3 with respect to 30? I cannot, right? 15 times 8, this is a number that can be broken into 30, right? That can be broken with respect to 30. So I'll use the same thing. Now, how do I get a 30? From 15 to convert it into a 30, I need a 2 somewhere. I have an 8 over here. Can I just pluck 1 2 from that 8 to create to make this 15 a 30? Yes, I can. So what I'll do over here is I'll write 8 to be equal to 2 times 4. And then I'll multiply this 2 with 15. The moment I do this, I get a 30. I have a 4 which I can write over here. So again, very, very simple. Converting a 15 into a 30 just requires a 2 that I've taken from this 8 over here. 30 times 4 plus 3 is in the same form of 30p plus r. R is lesser than 30, which is completely fine for me. Now, if R is lesser than 30, that is the answer for my question, right? Here, the value of R is equal to 3. That gets that is the answer, which is choice C. So 85% of you got the answer correct. That is really great to see. This is slightly challenging, I would say. I have a more challenging question. Now, in this question, I'm going to test how many of you, without calculating the value of m, can reach the final answer. Again, this is done to make sure that your thinking ability improves. So, just as a request, I'll ask you people to not calculate the value of m and just use this formula to get to the final answer. I hope that's fine to all of you. So please mark a still solving. Let's get 40 people marking a still solving. And then let me give you question number 3. This question is really very, very interesting. Okay, I have 32 people. I need 8 more very quickly, please. 37, 38, 39, 40. Okay, that is perfect. Question number 3 here on the screen. All the best for this one. All right, last 5 seconds to mark the answer for this question. Please take another 5 seconds, mark your answer. 3, 2, 1, and 0. I'm going to end the poll and broadcast the results. Now, how many of you in this question calculated the value of m, did the math? Because very honestly, 15, 9.2 is something that I'm not going to take on. Okay, so 20% if you did the math over here, that is fair, I would say. But again, if you're not inculcating the process, towards the later half, it would find difficulties, right? So I'll just keep the poll over here. Thank you for all of your answers. I'll clear out the poll. And now let's talk about this question. Now, m is a positive integer. M by 15 is equal to 9.2. I need to find out what is the remainder when m is divided by 30, right? So that's what's given to me. Now, if m by 15 is equal to 9.2, I'll do the same process. I'll divide 9.2 into two parts. One is 9, the other is 0.2. 15 times 0.2 is equal to 3. And then I have 15 times 9. Now, the divisor in the second equation is 30. So I need to, break the terms that I have in the first expression, break these terms with respect to 30. Now, can I break 3 with respect to 30? Very, very small, right? Cannot do that. I'm looking at a number which is 15 times 9. So I need to break 15 times 9 into chunks of 30. Now, how do I do that? To create a 30 from a 15, I need a 2. I cannot see a 2. This is an odd number. How do I get a 2 from a 9? So what I do is I try to just divide this 9 into two parts. One is 8, the other is 1. Now the reason behind doing this is the moment I get an 8, it's very, very easy for me to get a 2 out of it, very, very similar to what we did in the last question, and then create a 15, to convert a 15 into a 30, right? So I write 9 as 8 times 1. From this 8, I take out a 2 and I get 15 times 2 times 4. So this has converted into a form of 30p. However, I have this 1 as well. I need to multiply this 15 with 1. Now this 15 with 1 gives me a result of 15. I had a 3 which I got from 15 times 0.2. So this entire part now becomes how much? Now becomes 18, and then I have 30 times p. So the final expression is in the form of 30p plus r. Is the value of r less than 30? Yes, it is. So can I write that as the final answer? Yes, you can. You can just go to your choice and mark that as your final answer. So how many of you think that this method is actually a good method, helps you solve all questions? In a yes no poll. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll, and I have a very interesting question for all of you. How many of you think that even though if it's a good method, it's also slightly convoluted? I knew the answers. Okay, I do understand that it's slightly difficult to inculcate within your habits, because you have been solving questions through other kind of methods and they have been paying you dividends. But the question that you need to ask yourself is, am I getting high dividends, or are there chances of improvement? Trust me, 700 plus questions, if you do not follow a particular approach, you are going to take a lot of time, because you constantly think of approaches. And I answer a lot of emails of our students, and when I ask my students on where did you take time, they tell me that after I've taken time in thinking the approach for this question. Again, that essentially does not help me, because if I'm not able to solve a question within that 2-minute timeline, it won't, I'm jeopardizing chances of solving other questions. So that is something that you have to inculcate within a habit, even if it's difficult. If this is something that is going to pay you high dividends, I rather want you to take a look and make sure that you go into this, right? I understand it's a new method. It would take some time, but yes, when you spend that amount of time, you would really be very, very happy, and you would be very, very happy if you understand the method in and out, and then solve the questions that I have after over here, right? As I was talking to you, it's just a habit of creating those good habits, just inculcating those good habits. 3 questions, 3 very different approaches. So I had a 30 I needed to convert into 15. I took a 2 from this to convert into a 15. I had a 15 I had to convert into a 30. What I did is I took a 2 from 8 and then converted a 15 into a 30. I had an odd number with 15. I had to convert that into a 30. In this question, what I did is converted that odd number into even plus odd, and then finally taken that 2 from that even number to convert the 15 into a 30, right? 3 very, very different approach questions. The approach, however, remains very, very similar, right? So again, my bet is very simple. You have to make sure that you inculcate the good habits that are there, because if you do not do so, even if you can solve questions, you take a lot of time. Very honestly, there are only 3 things that you need to inculcate within your habits. You need to have 100% clarity on concepts, 100% clarity on process skills, and 100% clarity on GMAT skills. Now, what do I mean by concepts? The concepts that are tested on the GMAT. What are process skills? The various ways you solve a question, the application part over here. What are GMAT skills? The application of the concepts with the help of process skills, which help you solve difficult level questions. By that, I mean the 700 level questions over here. Now, if you go through our course, and it's already available in your free trial, you would see that it's completely dependent upon conceptual learning. We check your diagnostic scores, we understand where your starting point is, and then suggest you how do you go about this entire course. Once you go through the diagnostic, you learn what, if you need to learn the concept files, you learn the concept files. You have a very clear understanding of what are the different concepts tested on the GMAT. Then you move on to the process skills files to understand how what are the different kind of for example, the visualization skill that we were talking about throughout these questions. So what are the other process skills that help me solve these kind of questions? This is also something that you need to learn and need to inculcate. If you do not do so, it becomes very, very difficult. Once you are fair with these, you also need to now solve some difficult GMAT skills questions, right? Through the and we teach you that through the GMAT skills files that we have in our course. Now, you already have the access to the course. You just go to the course, check out all of this. You have a very clear understanding of how do you study. And that's very, very important to make sure that your efforts and your time is expended in the right direction. So basically, it's completely progressive in nature. And if you do this in the same manner, chances of succeeding is very, 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 very high, right? And that is the reason we developed Quant 2.0. It almost took us 1.5 years to develop this course. The beauty of this course is, even if you're at a Q49 plus, the course would help you. If you're at a Q42, the course would help you. If you're at a Q34, the course would help you. It's an adaptive course. So you only get to learn, you only learn what you need to learn. You don't end up, spending a lot of time in things that you already know. And if you follow the right approach, obviously you will succeed, right? We had the most number of Q49 plus scorers, and as you can see over here, TTP is also there in the list, which is primarily known for its quant. So we have the most number of Q49 plus scores and the most number of reviews as well, right? So what we understood is, based on your capabilities, based on your starting abilities, you need a unique solution. We cannot give out a course that is very generic in nature, right? And that is the reason we have somewhere around 106 learning activities in the NP course, which is spread over 50 hours of content. The 50 hours of content, depends upon the student's ability levels on how much do they need to go through. If you're a Q30 student, you might have to go through all the files. If you're at a Q45, you might only have to go through 40% of the course. If you're at a Q49, you might only have to go through 15% of the course. So this adaptability is very, very important when it comes to your preparation, because we don't want you to expend a lot of time knowing things you already know, right? So different needs, make sure that you go through different activities, and that's the reason we have different courses for you. So that's what we have in Quant 2.0. It's completely an adaptive course, and that depends on your starting ability. And we power this out through the expert architecture. Now, we take the diagnostic, you have the diagnostic quizzes, we understand where do you lack, we give you a feedback, right? There are 106 modules, the 106 learning activities, which are divided into 6 modules. Each module has 5 learning parts. So that essentially tells me that there are 15,625 ways in which you can learn through our Quant 2.0 course, right? And then, the best thing over here is you get an evaluation factor, you get a feedback at every point through your entire journey. So whenever you falter, your faltering point, and then the expert architecture also helps you understand how do you build upon that faltering point, right? Because we know that every student needs a personalized feedback, because without feedback, it becomes very, very difficult to make sure that you go to your target score. The expert architecture understands your performance. It's an AI-based tool. It understands your performance. For example, the student has access concept, the student has completed the concepts. spent enough time through which he needs to learn, but then he couldn't, score the threshold score, let's say. Now, the expert architecture would tell you that even if you did all these things, there needs a certain revision that you need a certain revision to make sure you reach your target score, right? And we had a lot of success recently. Varun talks about his success. Anand talks about his, and Dipinti was also a student, got in 760 with a Q40 and an admit from Tuck and a very handsome scholarship. All of these students are very, very happy, and that is something that we also want you people to just experience it out. You can just simply go log into your free trial to get an idea of how the concourse adapt itself according to your starting ability, right? So with that, we'll now move ahead to some difficult questions. But before moving ahead into the difficult questions, one question for all of you, and then let me give you something. We are now putting into the very interesting part of the session. So before I move ahead, are you 100% confident with the concept of dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder? In the yes no poll, please. Okay, that is good. That is good. I'm gonna take this poll over here. Thank you for all of your responses. I'm going to clear all the answers. And now let's move ahead to learning a very new interesting thing over here. Now let's take an example. Let me tell you that I have two numbers, 31 and 43. Now what is the remainder when I add these two numbers and then divide it by 7? There are two possible ways to solve out the question. There are two possible ways to solve out this question. One is you can simply add these numbers together. 31 plus 43 is equal to 74, and then calculate the remainder by dividing it by 7. So 74 by 7 gives you a remainder of 4, right? The second approach to this question is you can individually calculate the remainder. So you individually calculate 31 by 7, you have a remainder of 3. You individually calculate the remainder when 43 is divided by 7, you have a remainder of 1. And then, since in the initial question I had the addition symbol, I have to add these two remainders to find out the final answer, which gives me 4, right? So both these approaches are fairly similar for this question. What happens when I change the number? When I have 31 times 43, I'm going to open the short answer poll. Tell me, when I have 31 times 43, would you rather want to multiply? So would you rather want to use sequence 1, or would you rather want to calculate the individual remainders and then find out the final answer? Sequence 1 or sequence 2 for question number 2? Answer in the short answer poll, please. Definitely sequence 2, right? Because okay, even this numbers look fine. What if I told you what's the remainder when 89 times let's say some number which is 65 is divided by 7? You are definitely not going to calculate the product of 89 and 65, right? You're going to go through a different sequence. So here the second sequence is very, very effective. But we also need to understand, why does the second sequence work? It's based out of the same concept that we had learned. Dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder. Now 31 can be written as 7 times 4 plus 3, because 7 is the divisor. Keep a note over here. 43 can be written as 7 times 6 plus 1. When you add these two numbers, I'm adding 7 times 4 plus 3 and 7 times 6 plus 1. Take 7 common. What do you have? You have 7 times 4 plus 6 plus 3 plus 1. So 7 times P plus R. R is less than the divisor. So this is my final answer. The same thing also happens when I multiply. So I multiply, I take common, and then lastly I multiply the two remainders to get the final answer. The two sequences over here are very, very important, because sequence 2 helps you solve questions very quickly. However, if you do not follow sequence 2, if you follow sequence 1, it is going to take a lot of time off your pocket, right? So with that learning, let's move ahead to question number 4. These questions, trust me, are very, very interesting. So just give me a moment over here. I'll reopen the poll. This is the poll for question number 4. Please mark a still solving, and let's get the still solvings very, very quickly so that I can give you the question right away. And again, it's an easy process. doesn't go a lot into remembering the processor, so I'm very sure about that. Okay, so question number 4 here on your screen. Please mark your answer. All the best for this one. All right, last 5 seconds to mark your answer. Last 5 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. All right, I'm going to end the poll, broadcast the results. Now, 53% of you tell me that the answer for this question is choice A. 36% of you tell me that it's choice C. That's very interesting. Now, what do I have? What is the remainder when 24 to the power 3 times 38 to the power 5 is divided by 3? That's the question that I have at hand, right? Now, okay, in the short answer poll, sequence 1 or sequence 2, guys? Sequence 1 or sequence 2? Definitely sequence 2. I'm not going to calculate the entire product over here, right? So what do I have? I have 24 to the power 3. So this can be written as 24 times 24 times 24. And then I have 38 times 38, which I write 4 more times. So a total of 5 times written 38, and then I have 3 times written as 24. Now, basically, I'll calculate the individual remainders. Tell me, what is the remainder when I divide 24 with 3? What is the remainder when I divide 24 by 3? 24 by 3 leaves me a remainder of 0. Okay, what is the remainder when I divide 38 by 3? 38 by 3 leaves a remainder of 2, right? So, absolutely correct. It doesn't matter, but we essentially have to calculate you know, the individual remainders, right? Just following the process over here because want to show you once. Okay, so I have 0 times 0 times 0, because remember in sequence 2, what did we do at the end? We multiplied all the remainders multiplied all the individual remainders that we had, right? Now, here as well, so we have to multiply all the 8 remainders, 3 from here, 5 from here. So you multiply 3 zeros, and you then multiply 5 twos. Okay, right? You multiply 5 twos. Now, does this even matter? It doesn't matter, because any number multiplied by a 0 is always going to give me a zero result. So the overall remainder for this question is equal to 0. This is because, just try to think, I have 24 to the power something times 38 to the power something divided by 3. Since a number in the product form is already divisible by 3, the entire number has to be divisible by 3, right? So this is a very important, a very interesting learning. Okay, sequence 2 holds good for subtraction and division as well? Yes, sequence 2 holds good for everything that's out there, so wouldn't be a problem. Okay, the solution for this question, very quickly, is it clear to all of you? Is the solution for this question clear to all of you? Please mark a yes in the yes no poll that you can see on the right hand side of your screen. Okay, that is good. That is good. I'm going to end the poll and clear all the answers and take the poll over here. With that, I'll also move into question number 5. Again, these questions are good questions, guys. So at any point in time, if you have any questions or if you're stuck, please do let me know. Had it not left a remainder of 0 in the first place, how to go about it? You multiply all the remainders. Let's say had this be 25, then you had multiplied all these remainders at the end to calculate what's the final remainder. And then whatever the final remainder is, you just need to make sure it is in line with the divisor being equal to 3, right? You might have to do a reiterative step over here, as we had seen in the last few questions that we were solving. Nabil, is it clear to you? Okay, that is perfect. That is very good. So with that, let me move ahead to question number 5. Let me get you the poll for question number 5. Again, in question number 5, I'd rather want you people to, I'd love to see an accuracy that's north of 80%. So let me reopen the poll, take some time to understand the question, write everything down, and only then answer, right? Okay, still solving, please, very quickly. I have 31 people. I need another 9 people to mark as still solving. Okay, that is good. Question number 4, question number 5 on your screen. All the best for this one. All right, last 3 seconds to mark your answer. If you have not marked it yet, please do so. 3, 2, 1, and 0. I'm going to end the poll, and I am super happy because this time the accuracy is beyond 70. So I'm really very, very happy. So let's move into the question, understand what is the question asking of me. What is the remainder when 25 times 38 whole to the power 3 is divided by 3? Now, so 25 times 38 whole to the power 3 can be written as 25 times 38 times 25 times 38 times 25 times 38. So when I divide 25 by 3, again, I'll definitely go through sequence 2, right? When I divide 25 by 3, what is the remainder? The remainder is equal to 1. When I divide 38 by 3, the remainder is equal to 2. So the entire remainder when I divide 25 times 38 by 3 is equal to 2. Now, I also have an exponent over here. I need to bring in that exponent over here, right? So this gives me a remainder of 2. This gives me a remainder of 2. This again gives me a remainder of 2. And lastly, we also see multiplication signs over here. So the final remainder would be 2 cubed, which is equal to 8. Now, 8 cannot be the final answer because please understand it's not less than 3. So I again need to divide 8 by 3 to understand what's the final remainder. When I do so, the final answer for this question comes out to be 2, which is choice C, which 80% of you got correct. Again, very, very important to understand every nitty-gritty of these questions and how to solve out these questions. Now, before I move ahead, one more thing that I would want all of you to tell me, or rather write. Now, I have these very foolish, I would say childish activities that I do in my sessions. I'll bring that today as well. I want you people to write in the short answer poll that always consider the base number first and then the exponent. That is something that we would always do. It might sound very childish to all of you, but that's how I am. So can you please mark mark that in the short answer poll very quickly. Always consider the base number, then consider the exponent. Can you please write it down in the short answer poll? Just doing this so that you have this throughout the time you take your GMAT. First base, then exponent. First base, then exponent. That is so good, and thank you for being a part of my my childish asks. Okay, that is good. Thanks a lot, guys, for doing this for me. Again, please understand, I'm not doing this for this is something that I'm doing for you, not essentially for me. All right, so thank you for this. I am going to end the poll, and I hope you remember this throughout your entire GMAT number properties journey. I'm going to clear all the answers, and now let's move on to another very interesting topic. This interesting topic would help you solve a lot of questions very, very easily within a very short amount of time, right? Before I move on to that question, let me just get the poll. Okay, so now we are going to talk about negative remainders, and before I move towards that, there were two sequences, if you remember properly. Sequence one, which is first calculate the total sum and then calculate the overall remainder, or sequence two, which is first calculate the individual remainders and then do the operation. And so again, that completely depends upon the question, but yes, calculations are very simplified very easily when you understand the sequence that needs to be employed in the question. The next thing is always the base number first and then the exponent, right? With that, let's talk about negative remainders. Negative remainders is a concept that is going to make your life easy. And if it's going to make your life easy, it's my responsibility to give it to you people, right? Now, we know that dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder. But in mathematics, we do know that remainders are numbers which are less than the divisor, and they are also non-negative numbers. So they are either equal to 0 or they're greater than 0. Now, if you divide 5 by 2, there are two possibilities. You get a positive remainder of 1 by taking the quotient to be equal to 2. What if you take the quotient to be equal to 3? You would get a negative remainder of -1. Now I'll come to this part, that why do I need to calculate a negative remainder and all of that. I'll come to that. But as of now, just understand that there is a possibility of negative remainders as well. For example, when you divide 8 by 3, you get a positive remainder of 2 when the quotient is 2. If you convert the quotient, turn that into 3, you get a negative remainder of -1. So why do we do that, and how do we get to negative remainders? Using this very, very important formula. The value of positive remainder is equal to the negative remainder plus the divisor, or essentially the value of negative remainder is equal to the positive remainder minus the divisor. Now over here, as you can see, the positive remainder is equal to 2, the divisor is equal to 3, so 2 minus 3 becomes -1. The positive remainder is 1, the divisor is equal to 2, so 1 minus 2 becomes -1, right? So you just need to understand what's the positive remainder, you need to understand what's the divisor to calculate negative remainders. Now negative remainders make our life very easy. Trust me on this. Your calculations would go, if there were no negative remainders, calculations would take hours, and I'm not kidding, they'll literally take hours. But yes, since we have negative remainders, it makes our life very easy. There's, however, one very interesting constraint over negative remainders as well. You have to make sure that you convert a negative remainder into a positive remainder when you mark the answer, because by the definition of remainders, they can never ever be less than 0 over here, right? So that's something. It cannot be a negative number. Please make sure you convert the negative number into a positive number. Again, how? By using the same formula. Just add the divisor to the negative number, negative remainder, you would get the positive remainder out of it, right? So that's how we do it. Now, why did we learn all of this? We will see that right away. So question number 6, poll is up. Please mark as still solving. And then let's see, why did Atreya teach you this concept of negative remainders if it's not going to help you a lot. Trust me, it's going to help you a lot. I'm just kidding. Okay, I have 27 people. I need 40. Guys, please. Let's all right. Some levy to all of you. Let's get this number to 35. I have 33 right now. 34, 35. Perfect. Let me go to question number 6. All the best for this one. All right. Last 5 seconds to mark your answer for this question. Last 5 seconds to mark your answer. 3, 2, 1, and 0. So I'm going to end the poll. And before I move on to broadcasting the results, I'm going to open the short answer poll. Tell me which of the 5 options can never be the answer. Which of the 5 options can never be the answer? A can never be the answer, right? Because it's a negative number again. Cannot work, right? Yes, E can also not be the answer because it's equal to the divisor. Absolutely rightly pointed out. So yes, these are small things that you always need to keep your eye on, because if you do this, now even if you cannot solve this question, your chance of getting this answer correct is 33% rather than 20% that was at the beginning, right? So you can take a calculated guess. Okay, I'm gonna clear all the answers and we are now going to discuss. So I'm broadcasting the results. 74% of you tell me that the answer for this question is choice C, that is 1. Okay, let's see. I have 24 to the power 3 times 38 to the power 5 plus 17 to the power 7, and I need to find out the remainder when this entire very, very big number is divided by 3. Now, how do I go about this? Something that I've already solved, right? Question number 1 in remainders was very similar to this. I had to divide 24 to the power 3 times 38 to the power 5 by 3. Now, do you people remember what was the remainder in that case? 24 to the power 3 times 38 to the power 5 when divided by 3. Do people remember what was the remainder in that case? The remainder was equal to 0. Right? The remainder was equal to 0 because 24 is already divisible by 3, and since it was divisible by 3, the final answer would be equal to 0. Okay, so essentially the first part is not a part that we should be investing our time on. The only area that we should be investing our time on is 17 to the power 7 by 3. Again, what do? First the base number, then the exponent. When we use the base number is 17. Can you people tell me what is the remainder when I divide 17 by 3? What is the remainder when I divide 17 by 3? Very, very quickly in the short answer poll, please. I get a positive remainder of 2. That is absolutely correct. Can you also tell me the negative remainder? The value of positive remainder is true. That's absolutely correct. Can you people help me with the value of negative remainder? How do you calculate the negative remainder? You just subtract the divisor from here. The divisor in this case is 3. So subtract 3 from 2, you get -1. So this is my positive remainder. This is my negative remainder. Now, okay, let's understand. I have -1, I have 2. What would you rather calculate? 2 to the power 7 or -1 to the power 7? What would you rather calculate? Tell me. In the short answer poll, what would you rather calculate? Definitely -1 to the power 7, right? This is much easier to me. Had this been, let's say, 4 to the power 7 or 5 to the power 7, I am not solving that question. I'll be running away from that question right at this moment. So this is what negative remainders brings to the table. It reduces the complexity of the question by a lot. The moment you calculate 2 to the power 7, it's going to take you time, but -1 to the power 7, a negative number to the power an odd number, gives you -1. So -1 is the final answer, is it? No, not at all. Please make sure you convert this into your positive remainder. How do you do this? You add the divisor. What is the divisor? It's equal to 3. So you add 3 to -1. The final answer for this question is equal to 2. Right? So all those big calculations, they go into the dump. You don't require that right now. It becomes very easy. I hope the solution is clear to all of you. Now, if it's 4 to the power 7, I am going for positive remainder. No, if you are not going for positive remainder, it becomes very difficult. Why can't we select -1 as the answer? As I told you, by the definition of remainders, they cannot be negative. Negative remainders are only inculcated in a question to ease the calculations, to make sure that we do not end up spending a lot of time. The moment you answer -1, it's going to be incorrect, because mathematics doesn't allow remainders to be negative. So always before marking -1 or negative remainder, convert that into a positive remainder. Right? I hope that's clear to all of you. Again, I would love to have some feedback, not right now, but after the next question that I have for all of you. So just give me another 5 seconds and let me get you question number 7's poll. All right, here we go. We have the poll over here. I'll open the poll. Can you please mark a still solving? That is perfect. I'm going to stop broadcasting results. This is question number 7. All the best for this one. All right, last 5 seconds to mark the answer for this question. If you have not marked it, please do so. Three, 2, and 1. I'm going to end the poll. and broadcast the results. All right, so 40% of you tell me, 40% you responded for this question. That's the number that I have. One of you tell me it's choice C, three of you tell me it's choice D, 36 of you tell me it's choice E. While you were solving the question, I just had this in my mind that Atra, let's get a target of greater than 90 percentage. And guess what? You hit a perfect 90, which is fair. I'm very happy that you could hit a 90. So that's really, really good. Towards the end, I saw some people marking choice D maybe out of rush. Otherwise, I would have gotten a greater than 90. But again, you understand the value of the concept that we had learned over here, right? Something very similar to what we had solved in the last question. We are going to use the same concept over here as well. Now, in the last question, sorry, in this question, what do we have? We have 24 times 38 to the power 5. In the short answer poll, I've opened the poll. What is the remainder when I divide 24 by 6? What is the remainder when I divide 24 by 6? It's equal to 0, right? So can you people tell me what is this overall remainder when I divide 24 to the power 3 times 38 to the power 5 by 6? What would be the remainder for this overall expression? It would be equal to 0. Perfect. If this is equal to 0, the only number that's left with me is 17 to the power 7. Okay, if I have 17 to the power 7, and again, please remember what we had in our mind. First base, then the exponent. So when you divide 17 by 6, there are two possible remainders. One is a plus 5, the other is a minus 1. Now, very honestly, tell me, what would you rather calculate, 5 to the power 7 or minus 1 to the power 7 in the short answer poll? What would you rather calculate, 5 to the power 7 or minus 1 to the power 7? Definitely minus 1 to the power 7, right? You're not calculating 5 to the power 7 in any day. So if you're not doing that, you can just loosen out over here. I have minus 1 to the power 7, minus 1 to the power an odd number. Minus 1 to the power odd number returns me minus 1. So the final answer is minus 1. Again, please do not mark choice A. What you need to do, you need to convert this into a positive remainder. And how do you do that? You just add the divisor, which in this case is equal to 6. So minus 1 plus 6 gives me 5. That is the correct answer choice for this question. And I'm so very happy that you could get it correctly. Ria tells me minus 1 since I'm not a human computer. Absolutely correct. And that's the reason we gave you this question at the first place. Okay, what would happen if it was 17 to the power 6? Very interesting. So I would have minus 1 to the power 6 and 5 to the power 6. Again, I'm not calculating this. I am going with minus 1 to the power 6. Minus 1 to the power even number, I would get plus 1. So the answer for that question would be plus 1. Who was this? Let me very quickly check. Sorajit, I hope that answers your question. Level of this question, this is a perfect 700 level question, right? Again, how can you have a 90% accuracy? Because I just helped you solve this question a couple of minutes back, and then we gave you the concepts right away. But yes, please make sure you have all these concepts in mind so that you can solve these kind of questions at a later stage very easily, right? Okay, now that you have learned the concepts of negative remainders, sequence 1, sequence 2, exponent first, base next, base first, exponents next, are all of that clear to all of you? And let me get that yes no poll over here, please. Okay, are all of the concepts that we were discussing in the session clear to all of you? That is very good. I've opened the short answer poll. I have one more silly ask of you. What are those things that you have learned? Can you please write it down? Just try to write down every different thing that you learned so that we have a culmination of all the different things that we had in the session. Maybe someone can write sequence 1 versus 2, that kind of a thing. Someone can write something else. Just trying to culminate all the learnings, because now we are going to question number 8, 9, and 10. So yes, another silly ask of me. So we had learned negative remainders, and a number would always give me a negative and then positive remainder, perfect. We had learned about two sequences that completely depends upon the question, but from the outside, sequence 2 is always a go-to sequence for me. Perfect. What else? Base first, then power. That is really good. That's also good. What else? Dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder. That's also very, very good. What else did we learn? Did we learn anything else? Okay, that's almost what we had learned over here. One last thing before I move into the next question. Question number 8. One last thing. 24 gave me a remainder of 0 when I divided it by 3, right? Now, what was the reason? The reason was there is a 3 inside 24, yes and no, in the short answer poll. There is a 3 inside the 24, yes or no. 45, when I divide 45 by 5, the remainder would be 0 because I have a 5 inside 45, right? 45 can be written as 5 times 9, right? So whenever I get a remainder of 0, understand that the number is present inside that larger number. The divisor is present inside that larger number, right? With all of this learning, let's now move on to the most challenging question for this session. Question number 8. Here is the poll for all of you. Can you please mark a still solving over here? Okay, let's get to 30 people. Very, very quickly, I'll give you question number 8. 29, I need 2 more. Okay, I have my number. Okay, question number 8. And before I move on to question number 8, I'm very sorry. So again, with the same learning, dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder. It's completely okay to use negative remainders because they help you solve questions faster. But please remember that you need to make sure that negative remainders are converted to positive remainders when you finally answer the question. And then what's the process of doing that? Positive remainder is equal to negative remainder plus divisor. And then when 24 is divided by 3, divisible by 3, 3 is present inside 24. Another very important piece of information, right? Question number 8 on your screen. All the best, everyone. Last 5 seconds. Please mark your answers. Okay, I'm going to end the poll, broadcast the results. Now, initially I had a 44 percentage of accuracy. Now I have a 61 that tells me it's increased by around 45 percentage, which is, I'm happy. I'm happy with that because I also had some people leaving off, right? So I don't have their answers, but yeah, this is fine to me. Now, 61% if you tell me that the answer for this question is choice A. Another 21% go with choices C, D, or E. 12% going with choice E alone. So in this question, what is the remainder? I'm asked what is the remainder when a positive integer p is divided by another positive integer m, where m is greater than 1. So I need to find out the remainder when p when positive integer p is divided by m. So when p is divided by m and m is also greater than 1. All right. The first statement that's given to me is the value of p is equal to m plus 1 whole to the power 8. Now remember what we had learned, base first and then exponent. So if the value of p is equal to m plus 1 whole to the power 8, when I calculate the remainder when p is divided by m, what I write is I'll write m plus 1 by m, and then I'll bring in the power of 8 at a later stage. But as of now, let's first calculate what is the remainder when m plus 1 is divided by m. Now, if you break m plus 1 by m, you get two components out of it, right? So this can be written as m by m and then 1 by m. Okay. I'll reopen the poll, reopen the short answer poll. What is the remainder when a number m is divided by the same number m? Tell me, what is the remainder when, let's say, I divide 2 by 2, 3 by 3, 10 by 10, 100 by 100? It's equal to 0, right? So I'll get a remainder of 0 from here. Okay, m is a number that's greater than 1. What is the remainder when 1 is divided by 2? In the short answer poll, please. What is the remainder when 1 is divided by 2? It's equal to 1, right? Okay, what is the remainder when 1 is divided by 3? Again, it's equal to 1. So when I divide 1 by a number that's greater than 1, the remainder for this would also be equal to 1. Because understand, m is a number which is greater than 1, right? So when I divide 1 by a number which is greater than 1, you would have the remainder to be equal to 1. So when I divide m plus 1 by m, the final remainder that I get is 0 plus 1, which is equal to 1. Then I bring back the exponent, which was equal to 8. 1 to the power 8 is simply 1. Don't have any concerns over here. Can I get to the final remainder? Yes, I can. That means statement 1 is a sufficient statement to answer this question. Right? Statement 1 thus is a sufficient statement to answer this question. Is the analysis of statement 1 clear to all of you? Please mark a yes if it is. I have the yes no poll. If it's clear to all of you, please mark a yes. For anyone who has a problem, drop that problem, drop that concern in the short answer poll after you mark a no. Okay, I do not see any no's, so I'll move on to statement 2's analysis. What does the second statement tell me? The second statement tells me that m is equal to 8. Do I have any information on p? I do not have anything on p. If I do not have anything on p, I cannot move to the answer. And that tells me that the second statement is not sufficient, for which choice A is the correct answer choice. I hope the solution is clear to all of you. This was indeed a very, very good question. But again, the things that we used in this question, the learnings have come from the previous questions that we had solved, right? So all of that is there. Okay, so with that, I would now move on to question number 9. And just allow me 5 more seconds. I'll bring in the poll for question number 9. Please explain statement 2 again. I do not have the value of p, right? I just have the value of m. Now, if p is equal to 17, it gives me some remainder. If p is equal to 18, it gives me some remainder. So it depends upon the value of p. Since I do not have the value of p, I cannot mark the answer for this question using the second statement. I hope it's clear to you. This was okay, clear now? That is perfect. All right, I'll take the poll over here. Now let me bring in the poll for question number 9. Okay, you have the poll for question number 9. Can you please mark still solving? Very, very quickly, please. I have 32 people. That is enough for me. So I'll give you question number 9. All the best for this one, guys. All right, last 10 seconds to mark the answer for this question. All right, I'm going to end the poll and let me broadcast the results from 22 percentage in the initial um, attempt to 30 percentage for question choice A, 35 percentage for choice D. Okay, that's very interesting. Let's move into the question and since and see what's the answer and what's the approach for this question, right? Now, n is a positive integer. What is the remainder when 38 to the power n square is divided by 13? We'll remember the same thing. First the base, then the exponent. Can you people tell me in the short answer poll really very quickly, what is the remainder when, and even before I'm asking, I'm getting answers, so that's cool. So what is the remainder when I divide 38 by 13? It's either -1 or +12, right? Absolutely correct. It's either -1 or +12. So when I divide 38 by 13, it's either -1 or +12. I'm definitely not considering calculating 12 to the power n square because I don't consider myself to be Wolfram Alpha or any other computational device. So I'll take this the smarter approach. I'll just use -1 to the power n square. Now, -1 to the power n square, n is a positive integer. The moment I see -1 to the power n square, what I understand is there can be two possibilities, right? Whenever n is odd, n square would be odd. Whenever n is even, n square would be even. So if n square is odd, or when n is odd, -1 to the power odd always would return me a negative number that is equal to -1. That cannot be the final answer though, because I need to convert that into a positive remainder. So when n is odd, the final remainder would be equal to 12. And when n is even, I would have -1 to the power an even number, and that always gives me a positive result, which is +1. So when n is even, I have the remainder to be equal to +1. So the entire question, even before moving into the statements, is now a question which just asks me whether n is even or whether n is odd. Tell me, till this point in time, is the solution clear to all of you? Till this point in time, is the solution clear to all of you? It's clear. That is good to hear. So now let's move on to the first statement. What is the first statement? The first statement tells me that n leaves no remainder when divided by 4. If n leaves no remainder when divided by 4, and again, if you have a question, please feel free to put that out in the chat pod over here, Richa. So n leaves no remainder when divided by 4 essentially means that n is a number which is a multiple of 4, right? N is a number of the form 4k, and 4k is definitely an even number. If n is a number which is a multiple of 4k and an even number, and I know that if n is even, I get a remainder of +1, the first statement is a sufficient statement to answer this question, right? The first statement is a sufficient statement to answer this question. All right. Okay. What else do I have? I now move into the second statement. The second statement tells me that root of n is only divisible by 1 and itself. Root of n is only divisible by 1 and itself. Okay. In the short answer poll, can you people tell me what kind of a number is only divisible by 1 and itself? What kind of a number am I talking about? I'm talking about a prime number, right? Absolutely correct. I'm talking about a prime number. So root of n has to be a prime number. That tells me that n has to be a whole square of a prime number. Now, the funda over here is all prime numbers apart from 2 are odd in nature, but only 2 is even in nature. So since I have both even and odd possibilities for this case, the second statement is not a sufficient statement. Now, since the second statement is not a sufficient statement, the answer for this question is choice A. Now, is the solution clear to all of you? In the yes no poll, please. Is the solution clear to all of you? Please mark your answer in the yes no poll. Okay, two questions. Let n be 4, then root n be equal to 2, which is even, and n is 9, root n, which, that is how evaluated. Again, that's fine, but I would rather say just go through the basics. Any number which is divisible by 1 in itself is prime. So root n is prime. That tells me that n is prime square, right? So that's also there. Richa, for you, and please do let me know if the solution is clear after I play it out to you. This is n squared, not 2n, right? This is n squared. So by that I mean if n is equal to 3, n squared becomes 9 and not 6, right? I hope that is clear to you, right? Okay, that is good. Okay, no, you cannot move out of here. Y squared, because that's what's given in the question. It's n squared. It's not 2n. Right, it's n squared and not 2n. Okay, that is perfect. Now, before I move ahead to the last question, question number 10, which is indeed the most challenging question of today's session, and we'll talk about this question, and trust me, you'd solve that question. If 24 is divisible by 3, what does that statement essentially mean, guys? Can you please write that down for me? The third and the last silly question of this session. I promise you this. When 24 is divisible by 3, the remainder is 0. But why is the remainder 0? Why is the remainder? I know the remainder is 0, but why is the remainder is 0? Why is the remainder 0? Because 24 has a 3, right? 24 contains a 3. Perfect. Let's now move to question number 10. Can you please mark a still solving over here? All right, all the best for this one. All right, last 3 seconds to mark your answer. If you've not marked it, please do so. Perfect. All right, let's see. Now, what is the remainder when 4m is divided? And let me end the poll. And broadcast result 62%. If you tell me it's choice D, man, that is way, way too much. The initial percentage was 17 or 18, if I remember correctly. But this is this is a lot. Okay, let's see. I hope you people can hear me clearly. There was certain Nabil had complained about my audio. I hope that's clear. Okay, so question number 10. What is the remainder when 4m is divided by 16, where m is a positive integer greater than 1? Interesting. A lot of people ask me that, Atreya, if 4m is divided by 16, we have 4 common in both. Why don't we just slash out a 4 and then calculate if m is divisible by 4 or not, and then find out the answer? But yes, you can do that. Not at all a problem doing that. But please make sure you are also well aware that you need to adjust the remainder at the end so that you do not have a problem, right? I hope that is clear to all of you. Okay, so with that, let's move on to the question. 4m needs to be divided by 16 and m is a positive integer greater than 1. So I write 4m to be equal to 16q plus r. Again, using the same concept, dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder. Now, quotient, whatever it is, remainder needs to be a non-negative number and also less than 16. Over here, I need to find out the value of r. The first statement is, m leaves a remainder of 4 when divided by 32 to the power 32. So I can write m to be equal to 32 to the power 32 plus 4. Now I need to calculate the remainder with respect to 4m. So I'll just multiply a 4 to both the sides of this equation. What do I get? I get 4m is equal to 4 times 32 to the power 32k plus 4. So 4 times a plus b, that essentially gives me what? It gives me this number, and then 4 times 4 gives me a 16 over here. Now remember, I need to write this entire expression in the term of 16q plus r, right? 4 times 32 to the power 32k. In the short answer poll, write me a yes or a no. Is this a multiple of 16? 4 times 32 to the power 32. Is this a multiple of 16? It is a multiple of 16, right? Because 32 is a multiple of 16. So basically, essentially, that would be a multiple of 16. And at the end as well, I have another 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is again a 16. So this entire number that I have over here is a multiple of 16. So I can write 4m to be 16 times some number plus r, which is equal to 0 in this case. Now, since r is less than 16, I can get that as the final answer. Yes, I can. Hence, statement 1 is a sufficient statement to answer this question. Before I move ahead, just 2 very quick things. Just give me a moment. I'll bring in the yes no poll so that I get to understand the pulse. Where's my yes no poll? Okay, I have it here. So let me clear all the answers, bring it over here. Now, analysis of statement 1, is this clear to all of you? Is the analysis of statement 1 clear to all of you? 32 can also be written as 2 power 5. Will it be time consuming? Now you can do that, but understand 32 is a multiple of 16. The moment I understand it's a multiple of 16, I can leave it out over there, because any which way I'm working towards that only, right? Can we infer from statement 1 that m is of the form 36k? No, m is of the form 16k, not 36k. Please understand that. It's of the form 16k, because this is a multiple of 16 and this is a multiple of 16. So 16 p plus 16, that gives me 16k and not 36k. I hope that is clear to you. And who is this? Tarun. I hope that's clear to you, Tarun. Let's get a yes if it's clear. Okay, that is perfect. That is good. So that's about statement 1. What do we have in statement 2? Very interesting. Remember the fact when I told you when 24 is divided by 3, the remainder is 0, only because 24 contains a 0. Now m to the power 3 is divisible by 16. That essentially tells me that m cube leaves a remainder of 0 when divided by 16. What does this tell you? In the short answer poll, what does this tell you? M3 is a multiple, that is fine, but I need that other word that I'm looking over here. Multiple is absolutely correct. M3 contains 16, absolutely correct. M to the power 3 contains 16, right? Again, multiple factor, or not a factor, multiple, please, not a factor, multiple. It essentially tells me that I have a 16 inside M3, M cube, right? So I'll use the same concept over here. Now, any number can be written in the form of its prime factorized method, right? So if I consider m to be written as 2 to the power a times p1 to the power b times p2 to the power c, where p1, p2 are the other prime factors, a, b, c are the exponents of the prime factors. Again, why do I write this? If m cube has some power of 16, m also has some power of 2, because 16 comes from powers of 2. So m has some power of 2. Now m cube, if I cube all these two sides, I have m cube to be 2 to the power 3a times p1 to the power 3b times p2 to the power 3c, and so on. Now tell me, is this clear till this point in the yes no poll that I have at the top? Is this clear up till this point? If m3 is divisible by 16, I have to have 16 inside m3. Now m can be written as 2 to the power a. Okay, I have certain number of people for whom it's not clear, so I'll again explain. M cube has 2 to the power 4 inside it, right? Understand, if 24 has 8 inside it, 24 to the power 3 would also have 8 inside it, right? The same thing is applied over here. If m cube has powers of 2 inside it, m also needs to have powers of 2 inside it, yes or no? If m cube has powers of 2, m also needs to have power of 2, yes or no? People who marked a no, if this is clear, can you please change your answer from a no to a yes? And if there's a problem even after that, you can post that in the short answer poll. I'll take care of it. Okay, all of that is clear. That's really good to know. So that essentially tells me if m has a power of 2, I've just written in its prime factorized form, right? M contains some power of 2. I do not know what that power is. I'll just write that to be equal to a. So m has 2 to the power a inside it, let's say, with other prime factors. Not really interested in these prime factors. I'm interested in 2's because in the question statement I have a 2. So m has 2 to the power a. If I cube both the sides, m cube has 2 to the power 3a. Is this clear to all of you? M cube has 2 to the power 3a. If m has 2 to the power a, m cube would have 2 to the power 3a. I'm just cubing both sides. According to this question, I have a 16 inside m cube. So I have a 2 to the power 4 inside m cube. So whatever the value of 2 to the power 3a is, it is either equal to 2 to the power 4 or greater than 2 to the power 4, right? The power might not be 4, but greater than 4, right? Is this clear to all of you? In the yes no poll. Since I have a 16, understand, in 24, I have a 3. That means in 24 to the power 3, I at least have 1 3 plus another number of 3's might also come up, right? So in 2 to the power 3a, I have a 2 to the power 4 at a minimum. It can be greater than that as well. So 3a, so 2 to the power 3a is either equal to 2 to the power 4 or greater than 2 to the power 4. So 3a is either equal to 4 or greater than 4. In that case, what's divide both the sides by 3. In that case, you would get that the value of a is greater than 4 by 3. Now, what is the smallest number that is smallest integer that's greater than 4 by 3? And again, why are we looking at integers? Because exponents in prime factorizations are always integers. You cannot have a number where you have 2 to the power half and that won't return you an integral number, right? So I'm looking for integers. So what is the minimum integer greater than 4 by 3? It's equal to 2. Now, the moment I get this, I'll put the value of 2 in m. If I put the value of 2 in m, what do I have? I have 2 to the power 2 at a minimum times something, right? Times something. I'm not interested in that. I have a 2 to the power 2 at a minimum times something. So if this is m, if I multiply 4 with it, because I'm considering 4m by 16, if I multiply 4 with it, I have 4 times 2 to the power 2 times something. So that means 4m is a multiple of 16. If it's a multiple of 16, the remainder that I would get is equal to 0. So statement 2 is also a sufficient statement to answer this question. Okay, Sadia asks me, why is it greater than equal to 2 to the power 4? Very interesting question. Sadia, understand, m cube is divisible by 16. It can also be divisible by 32 as well, right? But at a minimum, it contains 2 to the power 4 in it. So 2 to the power 3a at a minimum contains 2 to the power 4. It can be 2 to the power 5, 6, 7, 8, anything apart from that. But this is at a minimum, right? Okay, should one try to solve this question while giving this exam more than 2 minutes, right? Yes, it is definitely more than 2 minutes, but also understand that this is a difficult question. So the return on investment would be very, very high, right? I hope that's clear, that is a good motivation for you, Saurajit. Again, good questions are always, the difficult questions are always good to solve, right? Okay, can you please write down the contained statement? As in, I did not understand your question, Aman. Can you please help me out understand this better? I couldn't understand, I'm sorry. Very quickly, please. K contains 16? Yeah. Okay, K contains 16. If K has a 16 inside it, K need to have a 2 to the power 4 inside it at a minimum, right? If K contains a 16, K contains 2 to the power 4 inside it. For example, if I say, for example, 64 is divisible by 8. So 64 contains an 8 within itself, right? 64 has a 2 to the power 3 inside inside it, right? That is something that we have used over here. I hope that's clear to you, Aman. Right. Okay. Solution is clear to all of you. And now, if that's clear to all of you, this is good for me. I'm going to clear all the answers over here. Tell me, what did you learn in the session, and did you like the session? In the short answer poll, how did you like the session? Lovely. That is so good to see, that is so good to see. Again, I would want only 2-3 things for me. One is be diligent, understand what are the major good points that you need to inculcate within yourself. These are just good. So you all go to gyms, right? Almost a few of you all might be going to gyms, right? Essentially, after you go to a gym, there are some good food habits that you need to inculcate, right? This is something very similar over here. The quicker that you inculcate these good habits, the faster you go to your target score, the faster you reach to your target score, right? So that's really very, very important. I would say as your next steps, if I would want you to go through the quant course, because it's adaptive in nature. You have everything that's required over there to make sure that you become successful. It's adaptive, so you only learn what you need to learn. You don't expend a lot of time, right? Follow the recommended course structure. Whenever you take the diagnostic quizzes, you would get a feedback that, all right, maybe XYZ, since you scored this, the platform would ask you to go through files number 3, 7, and 8, maybe, right? So I'm just giving an example. So that is something that you should go through. You should follow that feedback, because only through that you have a very clear understanding of what do you need to learn versus what you not need to. Master process skills, very, very important. You need to understand those 6 process skills to solve questions. Again, if you do not have an idea, I'll share the link for that as well. And then Excel and GMAT skills files. I'll share the session PDF so that you have a very clear understanding. But please make sure that you go through the course. Even if you are a free trial user, we have added the files into your course. You just need to go to your course to check that out. I've added 2 questions in the PDF, and I'll share the PDF to all of you. This will help you understand how do you go about solving some more difficult questions, solving some more challenging questions over here, right? Apart from that, if you have any other feedback from me, I'll be very, very happy to take that feedback. And yes, if you have any questions or doubts, please feel very free to post that out in the Q&A, in the short answer poll. I'll take those questions up right now. I hope you'll share the PDF. Yes. I'm just sharing the PDF. Just give me like 30 seconds. So this is the PDF that I have. And then let me also share process skill videos and Quant 2.0 trial if you have not gone through the trial. So yes. Okay. With that, any question that you people might have, I'm very open to taking questions. At first, when DS questions stumped me, I was like, Quant is not for me. I'm glad I stuck through and could attempt the questions realistically. I almost got the right answer on 2 of the 3 DS questions. Got 1 right earlier. That's see who this is, Ria. I'm very happy, Ria, to see this progress, and I understand that we work throughout day in, day out, just for your success. So yes, I'm very, very happy that you like this, and I'm very happy that this installed a lot of confidence in you. So as next step, go to our free trial, solve some more questions to gain further confidence. And yes, if you want any help, just write to us. We'll be there to help you out. I've done the number properties module. What should I do to revise again? Very important question. If I've gone through the number properties module, if you have an 80% course in both practice quizzes and concept quizzes, I would rather want you to go through the stage 2 process, by which you have to take 3 medium quizzes in cementing and 3 hard quizzes. Take those quizzes, you have a lot of data, understand what the data speaks to you. The data would help you understand what are your weaker sections. Once you have a proper understanding, you can then revise that through maybe some official questions or some more questions from the Scholaranium itself. Richard, I've already pasted the PDF. I hope that is you have access to downloading that. Right. Any other question that you people? Sorry. Yeah. Any other question that you people might have? Anything else? All right. I'm very happy to see the feedback. I look forward to seeing you people for the next set of sessions that we have. Please do register for them. And if you have any questions or doubts, write to us at support@e-GMAT.com, where we'll take care of all of your questions. Till then, till the next session, rather, have a very good day or night ahead, and take care of yourself. Bye-bye, all of you.